Good morning, travelers. It is 8:22 a.m. on the 25th of June. And this is not a reading. I'm not going to be pulling cards, but I feel it's important for me to come to you to talk to you about Roe v. Wade. Now, those of you who have been with me for some time know I don't have any dream recall. However, yesterday morning, and you know that whenever something is coming up, that usually I will wake up, and that's how I know something's coming. And I woke up about, I think, 3:30. Usually that's when my dream time, these dreams come through. And I sat up in bed because I had this weird dream. The dream was that I was in the tub taking a bath, which is something I never do. I always take showers, but I was in the tub taking a bath. And Clarence Thomas walked into my bathroom. And I looked up and I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, well, let me talk to you about something. And he started to approach me, walk towards me in the tub. And I remember standing up in the tub, grabbing a towel like to cover myself. And that's when I woke up. It was just the oddest dream. And I was like, what the hell was that about? Well, last month in my newsletter, I made a prediction. I pulled a card and someone asked me what did I think. I think it was Jessica Adams was talking about Roe v. Wade. And so I made the prediction last month that Roe v. Wade would fall. And here we are today. The reason why I want to talk to you about Roe v. Wade is that I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what that case was all about. Roe v. Wade was not a decision, a case saying that a woman had a right to have an abortion. Roe v. Wade was a case about privacy. A woman wanted to have an abortion, but at the time she wasn't able to do that. She needed her husband's permission. And so the case says that a woman should have the privacy to make that decision about whether or not she chooses to have an abortion, that she shouldn't have to discuss it with anybody else. Okay, so that is what Roe v. Wade is about. It doesn't give you the right to have an abortion. It's a privacy case. It's a privacy issue case. The decision that came down yesterday from the SCOTUS basically says that because Roe v. Wade, the Privacy Act, or the decision to the right to privacy over this decision is not enumerated in the Constitution. And by enumerated, I mean it's not listed as one of the things in the, Amendment 14 and then A, B, C, and D. Because it's not enumerated in the Constitution, it is therefore an invalid legal premise. And this should scare you, right? You know I don't like to scare you, but this should scare you. Because what that means is that since this has fallen, since that protection has been taken, that privacy protection has been taken away as an invalid legal premise, that means that things like who you sleep with, what your sexual orientation is, in vitro fertilization, voting rights, who you marry, all of these things are now up for grabs, okay? Because none of them are enumerated in the Constitution. So what that means is that dating apps, banking apps, tracking and health apps, shopping apps, location, all of these things can be used now to prosecute a woman in an abortion case, all right? Particularly in those red states where they have outlawed abortion outright. I have often said to you that there are some companies that are worse offenders than others when it comes to your privacy rights. Get off of Facebook. Delete your information. Submit your request for them to delete your information. Instagram, any messaging apps, any of those things are now subject to being data mined to prosecute women who wish to receive an abortion. Even if you travel outside of a state, from one state, from one banned state to a free state. And I find this to be quite an interesting thing. I was looking at the map, and I'll probably post that up in a newsletter I'm going to write later today. Jessica Adams said, I think privately to me some years ago, maybe even on her website, that what the astrology was showing her was that there was going to be two different Americas. Now, we were, at least I was, under the impression that this was going to be based around politics, and in a way it is, in a sense. But now we literally have two different Americas, where one part of America, women are being subjugated, and in another one, you can be free to do whatever you want with your body. And so that has come true. I feel that what is going to be happening is that now that Roe has fallen, that means that the ACA is going to be challenged again, right? Medical rights were not listed in the Constitution. So if you are in a same-sex marriage, right, you will no longer have the right, and you just won that right, to be afforded all the protections of other married couples. That means making medical decisions. That means wills and estates and taxes are going to be up for grabs. Adoption will be up for grabs. These things are not guaranteed to you in the Constitution. Interracial marriage is up for grabs. Dating, who you date, how you date. That app can show your sexual activity or your sexual proclivities. Okay. When you shop, are you shopping for pregnancy tests? When is your period coming? Are you buying tampons? Are you buying pads? What are you purchasing? All of that information is now up for grabs. Voting rights has never been in the Constitution. That's the redistricting and the gerrymandering and the voter suppression laws that have been put into place for the upcoming midterms and the 24 election. All of those things, in a sense, they've already been taken away from us, but they've never been enumerated in the Constitution. Your social media apps. Don't be going on social media talking about you're pregnant. Don't be telling people online that you're pregnant. Don't discuss if you want to have an abortion anywhere online. I would suggest, I ran across a tweet on Twitter that I retweeted, a woman saying who teaches about online internet and economics, saying delete those period apps and those fertility apps. Delete those things. Go back to pen and paper. Use a calendar. Circle it. Count it down. Circle it. And make notes. Right? So all of these health apps, your steps, your water, your drinking, because when you're pregnant, your habits change. Shopping, grocery shopping. Don't use your credit cards because when you're pregnant, you eat healthier. So your eating habits are going to change. If you're buying prenatal vitamins, don't use a credit card. Pay cash for them. These are all things that are going to go away. We've been warned. Justice Thomas has told us that now that this has fallen, Roe v. Wade, then that opens the door for all of these things to now be written or to be stricken down. So I find it quite interesting that in the span of maybe, 20 years, 10 maybe, that we've made such gains and now we're being pushed back, literally pushed back into the dark ages. That's pretty much what it means. Now, in my newsletter, I've been talking to you about how Gilead was coming. This is really 1984, where Big Brother is watching you. We must admit that we live the majority of our lives online. But I've always warned you to be careful about the information that you put out there. Because don't think that the government, one, has backdoor ways to get that information. But if someone wants to prosecute you for seeking abortion services or terminating a pregnancy or whatever the case may be, they can issue subpoenas to Google, to Apple, and get that information to be used in prosecution against you. If this scares you, then you are rightfully scared, and you very well should be. But this is a wake-up call that what is happening is that there's a small portion or percentage of the population who has now really gone into Pluto mode, trying to maintain power and control. Someone disagreed with me in my newsletter about what this decision really was about, and was saying that poor people, particularly women of color, were going to be hurt. But I disagree with her. The reason behind this Roe v. Wade falling is because the white population is declining. And we already know from some of the statements, things that people are saying, the groups that have emerged that are starting to have a real influence in our politics, that white people are scared. The rich white folks, anyway, are scared. And women of color, women in general, have always been poor. Okay? The fact that we are able to get pregnant and have children further can sometimes further make it where we have difficulty getting that promotion or, making more money. So women in general are going to be affected, and that's through policies, through government policies. So here in Texas, they just did the GOP just did their platform. I have never seen a bunch of crazy foolishness. As I read it and I was just like, what the hell? So what they're saying now that Roe has fallen, now that it is illegal to have an abortion in Texas, they're saying now that anybody who wishes to receive public assistance. So let's say you've got 3 kids already and you're working, 2 jobs, right? And you need some assistance, food stamps, Medicaid, whatever the case may be. Well, now they're saying any able-bodied person who wants to have government help is going to have to prove, or at least it used to be you have to prove that you're looking for work. Now they're saying you're going to have to work. Well, what if your pregnancy makes you ill? Like when I got pregnant, I was on bed rest for 3 months, okay? And I couldn't work, right? What if you're a single parent and you've got 3 kids already and this 4th one is coming on the way? What are you going to do? How are you going to work? Who's going to watch your kids? So those are the policies that have always kept women poor, no matter if there were women of color or not. But now that this Roe has fallen, this is going to be very, very, very difficult for women. And the COVID pandemic made it even worse on someone who we couldn't work. And then once we picked back up, how are you going to find childcare? Childcare is astronomical. Who are you going to find to watch your kids? How are you going to feed your kids, right? Gas has gone up, so it costs you more to get to work and to do the things that you need to. Some people are priced out of the apartment and housing market. They don't have places to live. A lot of people were evicted under the COVID. This is an unmitigated disaster, and it's only going to get worse. The way that, historically, one group of people maintain power and control over another group is to keep them poor, to keep them sick. When you are so focused on just your survival needs, you don't have time to be worried about anything else. So it's a distraction. It's a lot of shit thrown into the air that is really designed to draw our attention away from what's really happening. And this is a power grab. It's a power grab. And I hear somebody out there saying, well, what about the COVID? They were tracking us through COVID. Yeah, they were tracking us through COVID. But that's a different reason. I don't mind being tracked to know that whether or not I'm going into a place that I could catch something and come back and give it to everybody in my neighborhood. Okay? The fact that they want to track me as a woman, my period days, whether I'm buying tampons or not, who I'm sleeping with, how am I sleeping with, what am I buying at the store? Those things are personal. That's privacy. And I don't mind giving up my privacy if it comes to protecting other people, myself and other people with the COVID tracking. I don't mind that because that keeps all of us safe. This has absolutely no valid merit, what they are doing. And whether you agree with me or not on abortion, Planned Parenthood just doesn't do abortions. They do family planning. They do immunizations. They do venereal disease tracking. They do a lot of things. They look after poor women who don't have access to, let's say, after postpartum care. So it's not just about abortions that they do. I find it interesting because I spoke about how Margaret Sanger, who was the founder of Planned Parenthood, herself believed in eugenics. Even though she was working to help women have other options, safer options for birth control and safer pregnancies, she didn't believe everybody had that right. If you were a person of color, she didn't believe in that because she believed that the white race was better. This is what the Roe v. Wade is about. It is about subjugating white women to have more babies. Okay? I just heard some lady on TV talking about, yeah, well, if they get pregnant and they don't want the baby, then they can just give it up for adoption. There are not a lot of white babies. That's why a lot of white people go to China and go to Russia and get babies. Okay? If you are gay, you're no longer be able to adopt kids. Why? Here in Texas, they say homosexuality is an abnormal lifestyle choice. So that means now, if you are gay and you're on gay dating apps, they can take that information and use it against you. Expect the sodomy laws to come back onto the books. Expect the blue laws to come back on the book. Blue laws are those laws where you couldn't buy feminine hygiene stuff on Sundays, right? This should really frighten you. It should really, really frighten you. And I don't have the answer. You know, I can remember telling you guys, elections have consequences. And if you did not vote and you are female and you're listening to my voice, do not cry about it now. It is too late. It is incumbent upon you to speak up for yourself, and you do that by going to the ballot box. Supreme Court justices are not elected, and they don't have a right to determine what you can and cannot do with your body. And if you notice, it's mostly all old white men talking this crap. Okay? And it's a plutocracy, but it is also still the old patriarchy that's trying to remain in power. They have set women back thousands of years with this decision. But everything else that you consider to be something normal, going on a dating app, going on a social media app, talking on the phone with your friends and family about personal things. This stuff is now all up for grabs. They can subpoena that information and find out what the hell is going on. And if you are in a position where you have an unwanted pregnancy for whatever reason, even some states are saying that if you've been raped, or if you're a victim of incest, young girls, or even if your life is in danger during the pregnancy, the law states that the doctor cannot even assist you in that. He has to stand back and watch you go through that event. Otherwise, he's going to be prosecuted and go to jail. This is the craziest thing I have ever heard. So it is incumbent upon you to hit the ballot box in the midterms. Democrats don't usually vote in the midterms, but this is incumbent upon you because already they have put into place people in the Republicans, this wild faction party of the Republicans, have put into place people of a certain ilk over voting boards, election boards, prosecuting attorneys, district attorneys, all the way down. It's that mid-level. Mostly everybody goes out to vote for the president, but nobody goes to midterms. You're going to have to go to the midterms. The pro-life people have been trying to overturn Roe v. Wade since it went on the books 50 years ago, and they have finally achieved their aim. Back in the 70s and the 80s, they were shooting doctors and blowing up clinics. Okay? So they have shown that they will use violence in order to get their aim to reach their goal. January 6th was about that. They were willing to use violence to achieve their goal, which was to overthrow the government. If you are a woman of color, you should be very frightened. A person of color, you should be very frightened because Well, it's hard to say. There are people out there who want us back on plantations. And there are people out there who want women barefoot and pregnant and just spitting out babies. But yet, there are no policies in place to help you when you have 4, 5, 6 kids. Even if you're married. In this economy, you need some help. Right? So expect the ACA to fall. It will be challenged again. This is the way to open the door to challenging the ACA or Obamacare. So that means millions of people will be losing their health insurance. Again, Texas don't even have none. Okay? So, this is really, 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 you should be very frightened. This is very Orwellian. The very system that we've been using to communicate, to apply for jobs, to bank, to shop, to travel apps, forget about it. They can track you. Those types of things, it can all be turned against us, used against us, depending on what it is that we're doing. And so I would urge you to reconsider some of the apps that you are using, to really, really, really become conscious of what you're putting out on the internet. Because once it's there, you can't take it back. Don't think because people deleting tweets that it ain't logged somewhere in somebody's server. There used to be a thing called the Wayback Machine. You can go on there and find anything you want on the Wayback Machine. Okay? And so there's a way to get that information. And so I urge you, speak to your young daughters, those who are of childbearing age. Think about, if you're still of childbearing age, think about these things. Birth control is going to fall. They're already talking about it here in Texas. They're going to make it illegal to use contraception, to get contraception. Think about that for a minute. And I say, if women really want to rise up and change this, just stop having sex with your man. Don't give it up. Go on sex strike. Right? We'll have to go back to wearing chastity belts. Okay? So, and even then, if you're in a situation, an abusive situation where you don't want to have sex with your spouse or your maid or whatever, he can rape you. If you get pregnant from that, guess what? Depending on where you live, you can't terminate that pregnancy. So, and if you try, you can be tracked through it. And then he can turn around. And this is the scary part. Here in Texas, they put out that bounty law. That means that anybody can pay a fee to get your personal information and track you down. They can do that. They can do it. And so I just wanted to talk to you to explain to you what is the consequence of Roe v. Wade falling. It's not just about abortion, so please don't think that's what it is. And I also felt it was incumbent on me to explain to you what that law or that decision, that legal case was about. It is not about the right to have an abortion. It is about your privacy and your right to have privacy over your decisions to do whatever you choose to do for your reproductive health. Okay? And now it's poof, like that, with the stroke of a pen, gone. And Clarence Thomas, that bastard, y'all know I don't like him more than I like Mike Pence, and that's saying something. saying something. Okay, I can't stand Mr. Butter Don't Melt in his mouth, Mike Pence. But Clarence Thomas is a freak and a weirdo. And for those of you who don't know how he got his Supreme Court seat, I want to say it was George Herbert Walker. And Dr. Anita Hill came forward and said that he was putting stuff like pubic hairs on her Coke can tops, talking to her about sex and about breast size. And he sat in that hearing and pulled the race card, which I find to be ironic because he don't even consider himself black. And said it was a high-tech lynching. And that scared the shit out of Joe Biden and all them guys sitting up there. They didn't want to be seen as racist, so they went ahead and gave that fucker, excuse my language, his seat. Okay? Supreme Court justices are there for life. Now, somebody emailed me last night because I've been saying that Justice Thomas is going to be leaving that bench. He's going to leave that bench. But it won't be over his wife, Jenny. She's got a lot of pull and a lot of sway. It's going to be something personal. It's going to be something personal that people are going to find out about him, that he will have no recourse but to leave that seat. I stand by this prediction. I'm going to be looking at it with the Nostradamus cards. And something else, Sarient, you emailed me under one of my newsletters and asked me, the card was, I don't even remember, I made the notes, but it said the 9 who will not be judged. And at the time I said it was about the election and the 9 seats that the Democrats were going to pick up in both the House and the Senate, which they actually got 2 more seats. But as I've been watching the January 6th hearings and this thing with the Roe v. Wade, Nostradamus speaks, the tarot cards speak on multiple dimensions at the same time. So I had to go back over and look at that. There are 9 people involved in the coup plot attempt. They named 6 the other day, so there's 3 more out there. But it does also have something to do, I feel, with the Supreme Court. Judge Ketanji Brown has not been seated yet. I find it quite interesting that they wanted to just go ahead and do this before she got on the bench, okay? And because it is 6-3, those are our 9, 6-3, with 6 being conservative, Donald Trump put in 3 of his very own Supreme Court justices. Gorsuch stole the seat from Merrick Garland. And then we have, and I wanted to laugh yesterday when Susan Collins of Maine had her old ass up on TV talk about they lied to me. I find it funny when white people are so shocked that other white people lied to them. That woman's got to be either the stupidest woman that ever lived or the most naive woman that ever lived. Maybe a bit of both. And I don't mean to disparage her character, but she's just out of it. She's completely, I don't even know what to say about her. And so you got Susan Collins to thank for Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, okay, of Maine. You ought to write her. Y'all ought to write her office. Y'all ought to call her and thank her for this, okay? Their positions were clear. Donald Trump don't know his head from a hole in the ground. Those 3 people, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett, were handpicked by Mitch McConnell. Okay? So you got Mitch McConnell to thank for that. And all those poor women down in Kentucky who are already scraping by should write Mitch McConnell and call his office and vote him out. Elections have consequences. I cannot say this enough. Elections have consequences. And if you did not vote, you have no reason to be angry or frightened now. Because in effect, not voting is what put you in the position that you are in. Elections have consequences. So I urge you to please, if you are not registered, register to vote. You need to do it 30 days before the elections. Please register to vote. Please exercise your right to vote. Male, female, transgender, black, white, Chinese, African if you're a citizen. If you are a citizen and you do not vote, I'm asking you and urging you and begging you to please vote. That is the only way that we're going to get our privacy rights back. Not just Roe v. Wade, because I'm telling you, everything else is up for grabs. They're not enumerated. Interracial marriage. The right that you can go if you don't feel, what do they call it, trans body morphication or whatever, like you're born female but you feel male and you want to go have surgery and take hormones, all that shit's fixing to be gone. They're going to take it away. It's not in the Constitution. So you don't have that right. I think here in Texas they're saying that they won't even recognize transgender people. So you can't go to the driver's license office and get yourself, if you've transitioned from male to female, your driver's license, you can't put on there that you are now female. But you paying taxes. See, and taxes are about no taxation without representation. So if they're taking your tax dollars but telling you you don't have the right to whatever, if you're not out killing somebody or harming somebody, whatever the case may be, you just trying to live your life and be who you are. The pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, that's going to be taken away from you. So please, please, I cannot beg you enough. Please go vote. Register to vote and get out there and vote. Avail yourself of the information and the knowledge, people's voting records, their positions. Hold their feet to the fire and ask them what they think about this, what they think about that, and then make your choice based upon the information that you can get that sits right with you. Okay? And that's all I got to say. I done worked myself up into a tizzy about this. Y'all know I believe in voting rights. I believe in that. But that's not even enumerated in the Constitution. So while we have still the ability to go cast ballots, because that's what's coming next, the last guy literally tried to stay in power, to nullify all of our votes. The next guy who's coming along is smarter, and he's going to figure out a way to do it. Ron DeSantis, and I'm still doing some readings on Ron DeSantis. I got to put it all together. Nostradamus is talking. He's telling me a lot. And I don't even know how to put it all together. Okay? But Ron DeSantis is going to be the next president of the United States. And if you don't know who he is, look him up online. He's the governor of Florida. And then look at some of his policies that he's done. Okay? So, this is what's coming down the pike. And I urge you to please inform yourself and to vote. Now, I've got a couple of articles I'm going to be writing up on I'm going to post one on the website, I think, and one on a newsletter. And then I'm going to come back later today and I'll be doing the full moon in Cancer. And Mars is in the mix, and Uranus is in the mix, and Saturn's in the mix, and Neptune's in the mix. Okay? And full moons are highly emotional. And with Mars being in Aries, that creates, there's a possibility of violence and war and anger. And so he'll be moving into Gemini. So, you know, there's potential here for some stuff to happen. I read just this morning that somebody shot a whole bunch of people, I think, over in Oslo at a gay pride thing. It is now open season on women, people of color, LGBTQ people, interracial marriage folks. Just your politics. It is open season now. People feel they have the right to kill you now. And our government is not protecting us. In fact, they're making us targets. And this is America. I am so... I'm not even mad anymore. I don't even have the words to express what emotion that I feel. Because being in the military, we have gone around the world when we weren't colonizing. We've gone around the world to defend the freedoms of others. The government sent people out to be killed, defending the freedom and the rights of other people. Remember those girls in Afghanistan that wanted to go to school? Who's to say, the right to an education is not in the Constitution. And in fact, here in Texas, they're talking about getting rid of the Board of Education. Okay? Think about that for a minute. They stopped teaching kids how to sign their name in cursive. What the hell are they supposed to do when they sign in documents? Put their X on it? Okay? Wake up. This is the America of old is history. And what we will be battling for is a new America. Okay? A new America. Civilizations usually last 200 to 300 years, sometimes 4, but then they fall. The Roman civilization was one of the greatest on earth, as was the Egyptian, but it fell. Okay? So, wake up. Be very circumspect about what you are doing online. Consider deleting some of those apps. Find alternate ways to communicate. Matter of fact, I just bought a typewriter. I just bought a typewriter. Because it may come to the point where I want to communicate something to somebody. I don't want to send it in an email. I'm going to send it by snail mail. And that's no guarantee that if there's a subpoena out that they can't take my mail. Oh, Louis DeJoy, the postmaster that Donald Trump put in, don't think he wouldn't sign that subpoena and say, yeah, take her shit. Read it. Okay? He's still there. So it has been set up with the election of Donald Trump. Everything is in place. And so 2022 and 2024 is going to tell the tale. And if you don't get out there and vote, it's more of us than it is of them. Okay? And it's not just about you and your own little world. It's about everybody else who has been put down under the thumb of the government. All right? Tell me that they can't lower gas prices. You know how much money Chevron made from January to March? They just put out the numbers. In 3 months, something like $5.8 billion in gas. And they don't pay taxes. Is that right? People in Europe have been paying these gas prices for years. But they got regulations on their stuff. Okay? So, you know, I mean, I don't know what to say to you guys, except that you be more circumspect about how you're posting information online, where you're going, what you're doing, how you're paying for stuff, and pay attention to what's going on at your local level, particularly your state level. Okay? Become more involved. Become more informed. The internet is not just for you to go to Facebook and play games and look at other people and post up your little swimsuit vacation pictures. It is a powerful, powerful tool. And if they can use it to invade your privacy and kind of control your life, you need to be more circumspect about how you're using it and figure out a way to turn it against them. Okay? And really, that's what this is going to come down to. And so that's what I have for you. It's long. I'm sorry I was on my soapbox, but y'all know every once in a while I get on my soapbox. But I'm only bringing you this information to make you aware of what is really happening. What is really, if we are poor, if we are sick, if we've got so many kids, we can't feed them, we don't know what to do. We ain't got time to be worried about politics. But see, you can prevent that by voting. Start now, because elections have consequences. So I will see you guys soon. Till next time, be well, stay safe. Bye.